I don't know. I think the games, maybe they've just been that good. Like, my computer is heating up because the games have been so hot. I don't think this finals will be any different. Spawning in the lower right-hand corner of Neo Humanity, we have the Red Zerg player defeating the top side of the bracket, taking down the final American in today's bracket. We had a hope for a USA versus USA finals, but these Zergs dashed them. It is Dragon Kites Gaming's Dark. Took down Estrella in the semis after being down 0-1. His opponent in the upper left-hand corner took down Future, our other USA representative in today's bracket. For Onside Gaming, it's Solar. Both of those matches very close, though. 2-1s in the semifinals. But it's a ZVZ now. Dark earlier did drop a map to Mio Micah in a ZVZ. Now, I didn't get to see that game. I'm sure it was very exciting. Mio does not disappoint, neither does Dark. They bring some good ones. But maybe that indicates a weakness in Dark's play. He's certainly not foolproof, as he has been in the past. And Solar and he play pretty regularly. I imagine Solar feels pretty comfortable in this match. The last time they met in the KSL finals, Solar was able to take that one. And Dark generally struggles in the finals of this particular tournament, which I think is kind of funny because I feel like he doesn't struggle in the finals of any tournament, but for some reason KSL was a bit of a struggle for him to get a win, but see if he's able to keep pushing this one. Maybe he can get a second win under his belt, get some revenge on Solar. I don't know too much about what to expect in a ZVZ between these two. I mean, Solar is, generally speaking, pretty much just a reactive player. He likes to play like solid standard macro. Honestly, I feel like Solar plays a lot like a European. Just that solid standard play. Reacting to your opponent, and sometimes to his detriment, I feel like Solar can be in a good position, but instead of pushing it, instead of building a ton of units and trying to push across the map, sometimes he may be a little too passive, a little too defensive. Dark doesn't have that particular problem. I don't think anybody would call Dark too defensive. And as we're seeing, Dark going for a fast Ling speed, he's going to have his Metabolic boost done a little earlier, and he is pulling Zerglings. Only on 20 drones right now. Drops the Bane Nest behind this as well. He's going to start droning up, but might be able to put some pressure on and force the cancel on this third base. Solar does have a bunch of Lings coming out. He's got a decent amount on the map, and the Queens are coming out with this. He's going to morph some Banes. He really wants to hold on to this third base. Dark just trying to get a cancel, trying to get ahead here. Solar does have the closer reinforcements as well. And these Banes are about to pop. That's very scary for Dark. Dark needs to be super aware of that. Link's trying to sneak in, but you know what? Good hold from Solar so far. It's kind of what I'm talking about. Solid defensive player. And Dark not able to find a way in, at least for the time being. Solar now building 22 Lings. And I think Solar wants to take advantage of the fact that Dark might be just trying to drone behind this. He did drone a little bit, but Dark a little too smart for that. Also getting some Lings and a good handful of Banes back at home. Oh, he's got some Banes out on the map as well. Trying to get some connections here. Not quite getting them yet. Ooh, some Lings sneaking in. Some Banes coming in as well. Exploding all over the place here. Oh, Solar clicking the Banes on top of this Queen. He will be able to get the Queen, though, so, you know, maybe worth it. Solar getting more Lings in here as well, and the Banes are all dead for Dark. And without that Queen, he doesn't have a lot of defense down here. In fact, where are any of the Queens? He doesn't have them. And just like that, GG gets called. I think Dark had some Lings on the other side of the map, but they were not particularly helping him defend those Lings. And what I thought might be a bit of a longer game ends just super, super fast. Damn, just crushes him forward. Okay. ZVZ, man. Some things never change. And ZVZ has long been described as a, what is it, like a naked knife fight in a phone booth or something. Both players covered in oil. It's just an absolute slugfest. You're both trying to find any little way in. The hardest part about ZVZ is at any point your opponent can just have decided to make a bunch of units. And if you're not ready for that, it can be a brutal thing to try to hold. I think a lot of that one kind of came down to micro a little bit too. And it's something I've noticed in the past. Dark, he has some very strong micro, but his Lingbane battle micro, specifically Lingbane versus Lingbane, I think he's a little bit weaker with that than some of the other Zergs that are at his level. And Solar taking advantage of that a little bit in that game. A naked sword fight in a phone booth. I think a knife fight makes more sense in the phone booth. I feel like a sword fight would be super clunky. You'd just be bumping all over the place. Like, how would you realistically have a sword fight in a phone booth? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. Spawning in the lower left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have our red Zerg player. For Dragon Kitesy, it's Dark. His opponent in the upper right-hand corner in the blue for Onside Gaming, it's Solar. Solar taking a nice game one there. No 12 pools yet. Once upon a time, the ZVZ meta, at least in Korea, seemed to be 12 pool like every other game. Maybe even more often than that. You'd have like a 12 pool drone pull, and then a 12 pool no drone pull. And then you'd have like a 12 pool no drone pull with a gold base proxy. And then you'd have a macro game. And you just kind of go around that cycle over and over again. It's like in music, you have the circle of fifths, but in ZVZ, you have just like the circle of 12 pools. Like 7 or 8 different kinds of 12 pools you can do. You just kind of rotate through them, occasionally mix in a macro game. That's how it was for a while. There were some really fun games. I have a distinct memory of a game between Dark and Rogue on, what was it called? Blackburn, maybe? It was the map with the close by air spawn positions. And it had 2 gold bases, and they each proxied a hatch behind the gold base of their opponent. They had the exact same build. And it was a proxy hatch gold base with like an early pool. And it was just incredible. Honestly, it was just such a beautiful, beautiful build. And the fact that they both did it was amazing. Ah, the good old days. I miss Rogue. Rogue was a really fun Zerg. Just such a solid player. Good all-around player. I mean, there's a lot of players to miss these days. Unfortunately, there are some pro gamers have retired. Some of them are in their military service and may come back. Some have come back to a degree, but maybe haven't hit that stride, gotten back up to the level that I think we might expect them at, or certainly that they expect themselves at. Sue, who actually did win a KSL, is kind of in that position where he came back, and I feel like he expects more of himself than what we've seen. But still, very strong player. Took down Special in that finals. That was the finals. That was the week when everybody was in Jönköping. So we had kind of a wild KSL that week. But yeah, a lot of players to miss, unfortunately. But Dark and Soul are still fighting it out. Keeping the Korean StarCraft scene alive. I mean, Dark's trying to kill Solar right now, so. Maybe he's hoping he's not going to stay alive too much longer. Just putting some pressure on. Both players droning behind this. This is kind of more what you expect in a ZVZ. Poking and prodding with the Lingbane. not putting like too much pressure on. But the thing is, at any point, one of these players could just hold down the Z key, morph as many Banes as possible, and go. The other player needs to be ready for that. That's why you've got to have some Banes. You've got to be ready with the micro. Woo-hoo-hoo. Bane's almost getting in. Killing some larvae there, but not killing the lings, crucially. We've got Roach Warrens going down for both players. Dark's going to be done a little bit sooner, but the trade-off here for Solar is that he's got +1 missile attacks already started. So he's going to have the benefit of that upgrade. And, I mean, that can really help in a fight. Oh, no! What happened here? Oh, my God, Dark. Not paying attention. I certainly didn't see that either. Didn't notice those Banelings in his main. It must have been a couple of Lings that snuck through, morphed into Banes in the corner of his base. And 6 drones going down at this point of the game is very painful for Dark, who has more army supply, but that's like, it's so irrelevant until a little bit later. But he's going for just heavy roaches. He's stopped droning completely at 37, eating those drone losses and just hitting the roach key. That +1 may never have time to kick in for Solar. And I don't know if Solar knows that there are a ton of roaches coming out. Dark droning behind this, though. Oh, I don't like that choice. That's such a scary choice. Maybe he can get the counter Banelings. Roaches coming up, though. They're going to stop this. Oh, man. Great job by Solar. Paying attention, not sleeping on the job. No, you know what? It won't matter. It's just one Bane. Looks like one Bane hit here as well. He even cancels it. Dark's droning up behind this, but he is going to be very far behind in that drone count. I mean, he just caught up now, but it's a big boost for Solar that whole time. I think if Dark had been able to kill even 3 or 4 drones, this could be a bit better for him, but as it is, I think Solar just still has the advantage. How is this Ling alive? Can you guys tell me how that's not triggering aggro right now? It's so funny. Lair on the way for both players, but Solar's got that +1 missile attacks. I thought for sure Dark was just going to push across the map with a bunch of roaches. But now he's just kind of chilling. He's trying to drone up. He's trying to get his own +1 missile. He's just kind of behind Solar in every single possible way, though. And I was going to ask how Solar was going to leverage that advantage. Turns out Spire is his answer. He's got the earlier +1. Dark is trying to catch up in that regard. Dark Slayer's about to finish. Are we going to see the counter Spire? No, we're not. 5 Overlords on the way. We're going to see roaches. Roach speed being made. Dark. Did he just drop a Changeling on a Baneling? Damn. That's a high IQ move. The Changeling, right before it changes into a Zergling, it's aggroable. It pulls aggro, and the Baneling just splash damaged it. That's just like huge IQ move from Solar. Honestly, incredible. What a move. But yeah, Dark's just going to hold the Roach Key. Now, if Dark pushes very soon, he could be in a good spot. But if those mutas come out... Oh, and he just scouted the Spire. Just scouted the Spire. So he knows he has to go. There is a time limit on this. Solar sees the move out. Solar's been building roaches as well. He's down quite a few, of course. But he does have the defender's advantage. Oh, he's going to get a few quick kills here. That's really, really nice for Solar. Those are crucial. +1's not quite done yet for Dark either, so he's down the upgrade at the moment. So he wants to push up here, but he needs +1, and he needs roach speed, and that is buying time for these mutas to get out. And guys, I don't know if you know this. Fun fact about roaches, they don't shoot up. And while mutas don't kill them particularly fast, they're going to do damage to them, and Dark has to pull the trigger right now. +1 is done, roach speed is done, he's going in, but he's just going to lose units to the mutas so fast, and with the defender's advantage and Solar's superior economy, I think he holds here, but it's dicey. 17 roaches on the way. These roaches are overwhelmingly winning for Dark right now. The army supplies are dead even, but those mutas are taking their sweet time killing the roaches. I think Solar's still just going to clean this up, though. It looked for a second like Dark might be able to, like, get a base kill maybe. Something kind of big like that. But he's not even going to get that. He's just going to grab a few queens, trade with some roaches. But Solar's got +2 now. He's got mutas out. There's Hydras coming out for Dark, but it's 3 bases to 4, 71 workers to 60. The economy here for Solar is so much better. And honestly, I wouldn't hate to see him slap down a few more drones, really push that advantage home. But right now, he's just holding on to the R key for dear life. And he's just going to make as many roaches as he can behind this. Hydras will push the mutas away, but the mutas can always try to go harass. Spore crawlers are being forced here. I feel like these mutas have already done so much. GG gets called. Dark doesn't even wait for a fight. He doesn't try to get into infestors or something and lurkers and try to hold on. He could have dragged the game out, but Dark just says, screw it, game 3. I'm too far behind. I think that's a very fair assessment. He was very far behind. That's a tough thing to hold there. Also, until those Hydra upgrades are done, that Roach Hydra was just worse than like Pure Roach or Roach Ravager out of Solar. Waiting for the game 3 here. Solar up 2-0 in this finals. I think last time they played in the KSL finals, it was 3-1 victory for Solar, if I remember correctly. Take a look while we're loading into game. No, it was a 3-0. Dark didn't win a single game. Man, I wonder if like Dark's entire ZVZ is struggling, or maybe it's just his like versus Solar. That's crazy. Yeah, Dark has a higher rating than Solar, but I guess in ZVZ against them, it's just not good for him, at least so far. But as we get into game 3 here, we'll see if he can pull it back. I'd love to see him make a bit of a series out of it. I know he's got it in him. Spawning in the lower right-hand corner of Babylon, it is Dragon Kites Gaming's Dark. And his opponent in the upper left-hand corner in the blue for onside. It's Solar. Couple hatcheries going down, nothing too crazy. I was kind of expecting the 12 pool. I guess that meta really is gone, at least in Korea. It seems like we're just not seeing the 12 pools. Maybe players got too good at dealing with them. These guys are just too good these days, you know? I don't know, man. Solar won in the Ling Bane Wars. He won in the Roach Wars. Where do you go from here as Dark? What's your build to try to take advantage of a weakness that Solar has? And so far, you haven't been able to really damage him. Solar's defense has just been so strong. Dark's aggression has crashed like waves upon the rocks. And he doesn't have millions of years to wait for those waves to erode the rocks. Solar winning before then. In this metaphor, the rocks can actually fight back. Just punch the water. I hope it's not a 3-0. It would be a very decisive victory for Solar if it was. But personally, I generally would rather see longer series, 5-game series. It is kind of funny though. I feel like if the quarterfinals and semifinals are really good, and they were today, I feel like the finals often are bad. But if the quarterfinals and semifinals were bad, if they were just like super one-sided, then the finals usually slaps. I think that's generally true in tournaments. Interesting difference here. Dark taking the third base north of his base. Solar taking the triangle third. I wonder what that indicates. What do we think that means? Is it just a personal preference? I feel like in ZVZ, I don't know, does it make a huge difference? Are we going to see Solar try to bust these rocks down and go for a push straight across the map? He does have a Roach Warren on the way. It's just a little bit earlier than Dark's, but I think more importantly, it's before the Evo Chamber. And I think last game he had +1 on the way, like, as the Roach Warren started. Yeah, he's got Roaches starting up already. Roach Warren has done it in the back of the base. The Ling scouts it. Cancel on the Evo Chamber here. Solar, he wants to put the pressure on, and this third base, this was our tipping, our tip that this was coming. And Dark just pressuring with the Lings for now, but Dark's got to start getting Roaches out too. He's got a Spine Crawler on the way. He has correctly assessed the situation. The Spine Crawler going to really help out. The Roaches are being made. Solar, though, putting that Evo Chamber back down. And now starting to drone behind us. Okay. So he's starting to pressure across the map. But I don't think he's going to commit to this. I don't think he should commit to this. When he sees Roaches, I feel like he pulls back. Yep, there it is. Okay. He did force a Spine Crawler. And you know what? The Spine Crawler sucks. This Dark would not have built the Spine Crawler normally. So at least that's the victory for Solar. He doesn't get anything done with this aggression, though. And that does give Dark a slight economic boost, but it's so slight. Sometimes we just look at this graph and it's like, oh, it's a boost for this person, but look at the numbers on the side. 100 per minute. That's nothing. That is nothing. Sometimes we see this get to 3,000 resources per minute. So honestly, still an extremely even game. Solar is a couple workers down, but both players are continuing to build drones, continuing to build units, and Solar again quicker on the +1. But this feels very purposeful from Dark. He has not started +1. He's had this Evo Chamber for plenty of time. Of course, he's going to completely prove me wrong. What I was going to say is, hey, maybe he's going to try to get like a Spire going or something. Maybe he's going to focus on units that aren't Roaches as this game continues, and he doesn't want to worry about that +1. But then he started it, so I guess I was just wrong for going into Roach versus Roach mid-game. Fourth base is probably going to go down fairly, I guess not too soon. ZVZ, the base timings, a little bit different. It's funny how even this game feels in a lot of ways, but Dark has taken a pretty significant drone lead. I think Solar stopping droning. I don't know that he's got full saturation, but he doesn't have a gas in the main. He's a little bit undersaturated in the natural. I wonder why he stopped running at 56. I mean, he is just building units right now. But I feel like Dark is just doing the same thing, but on full 3-base saturation. He's got a 4th on the way. Is Solar just going to try to attack? I actually don't think that'll work if he goes for it. Dark's supply is so similar. He is a few Roaches down. He's going to cancel the 4th, though. Dark, I think, realizing that there's an attack coming. I don't know what exactly tipped him off. Maybe seeing no 4th base still at this point. But he realizes there's an attack coming. He's building 2 more Spine Crawlers. Oh, he is getting very ready for an attack. And I mean, Solar is going. Still hasn't built the drone. Solar, he's going to have that +1 earlier, but he's only got 10 seconds to take advantage of it. Oh, I don't think he has enough here. There's Ravagers. There's Queens for Dark. He's got Defender's advantage. Drones are starting to go down as Lings get into the main. We're going to try to pick apart some drones as well as get some reinforcements. I think Dark's holding this main army very nicely right now. +1 is done for both players. Solar up a bit of army supply, but he doesn't have the worker count behind this. The Spine Crawler is going to help out as well, but look at that concave. Solar's concave is very strong. And guys, we know how strong concaves are. The Biles are landing for Solar. Quicker reinforcements from Dark. I think the Lings were cleaned up in the main and natural, so drones can go back to mining, but that's a long time that Dark wasn't getting all of his income. That's very good for Solar, but does he have enough here to actually fight this? These Spine Crawlers doing great work. Oh, and Solar's army is starting to get a little bit low. Almost running into his own bile there, has to pull back. Dark's supply is actually down quite a bit. He's down almost 30 army supply right now. Solar continuing to push. Does he have enough? He's trying so desperately. Spinecrawler is moving to avoid Biles. The micro here is insane. The worker count's actually much closer now, 56 to 60. Solar could try to drone up and take a fourth while he's doing this pressure. Yeah, and actually he's hit the drone key behind this. And Dark, it looks like, has realized it. He's like, you're being a little too passive all of a sudden. So I'm going to drone up a little bit too. And Dark's going to drop the Spire. He says, I think you're going to chill. I'm going to drop the Spire. But you know what? Solar is not chilling. Solar's pulling back. He's droning. He's taking a fourth. But he's not chilling. He's got Tunneling Claws and Burrow on the way. He starts at +2 for the Roaches. A little bit earlier than Dark. Now, this Spire is crucial for Solar to scout. He needs to recognize that there's a Spire on the way. Where is that Spire? Why did I think it was over there? It's in the main. Okay. Spire is very necessary to see. That's going to mean Dark won't be able to build as many Roaches in the next little bit as he's trying to save up for those Mutas. Heard an attack. I thought there was an Overseer. But I think the Mutas will start coming out before the burrowed Roaches start really becoming a thing. And we already see Dark on the defense for this. He's got this Overseer in front of his natural. I'd love to see a Spore Crawler here near this base to help with these spines. I feel like that would be pretty sick. Or an Overseer, I guess, over the base. Solar just posturing right now. He is building a lot of Roaches, but Dark's army supply is up now that he's got those Mutas on the way. I think he's got enough Roaches to actually take good fights here. But Solar just wants to poke. He wants to try to send some Roaches in. Dark he's too smart for this though, man. He's too smart. He is so ready. He's like, guy. You know how many times I've played like Raynor and Serral? They just do this shit all the time to me. Some Roaches are going to pop up here, but I don't think they're really going to get anything done. And now the Mutas are moving across the map. The Roaches and Ravagers can't stand out front. There is a Hydra Den done already, though, so it looks like Solar was kind of at least aware of this. He's going to lose a couple of Overlords. Not the biggest deal in the world here for Solar. Spore Crawler moving out. Ooh, the Roaches are coming up, though. Where are those Roaches of Solar? Got to split against those Biles. Gets into a good position. Mutas dive into the main base. It's one Hydra doing a great job pushing them away. Yeah, Solar taking a fight out on the map as well. Pushing Dark back. Starting to lose some drones in the main base. Looks like these Mutas might just idly die here. Bit unfortunate, but a couple drones do go down. Dark gonna dive into the natural now as well. He's gonna get some of these Hydras. Oh man, Solar just not ready for this. He had the creep spread out here too, but he just missed the Roaches. Didn't send the units back in time. Now he doesn't have enough out here to actually take this fight. There is a Spore Crawler to pull back to, as those Mutas are doing well here. Solar really desperately trying to hold on to this. Burrowing the drones is a stroke of genius, but look at that army supply. Dark just so far ahead. He's going to jump on this base. He doesn't have detection to kill these Roaches, so at least a few of them will get away. But at what cost here? I mean, Dark's got a fourth base on the other side of the map. 18 drones have now gone down. Solar needs to win a decisive victory and push across the map. But he's down 20 army supply. Doesn't land that bile on the Mutas. If you guys want to see a good bile on Mutas, I think it's the #2 clip on my channel is a good bile on some Mutas. This is really nice for Solar. Needs to not run into those biles, but gets a huge surround here. Excellent concave once again. Again, Solar's really only chance here is to put a lot of counter pressure on. He's about to have Carapace. Oh, but he's fighting so much without it. He just wants to get the pressure going. He's got the Hydra showing up as well for some extra DPS. Dark letting him in a little bit. Dark trying to be patient. He says, okay, I'm going to give up the fourth. And this is actually really good for Solar. He's still down quite a few workers. But it's 3 bases to 3 now. He's going to burrow, and the Roaches regen quicker when you burrow. Not as quick as they used to, but still quicker. But Solar on that worst economy, he's not going to be able to keep up with production. And while Some of that army supply is still... Oh, no, the mutas are dead. Never mind. That army supply is no longer mutas. It's just roaches and a few ravagers here. The fakelings. The changelings. Dark gonna try to move in up here. Solar is ready for this. He was aware of this army movement at some point. But the Bile's making it so hard for him to stick around and fight. Oh, those Biles actually killed Dark's own changelings. And Dark, I think he just knows he's ahead economically. The Bile's starting to pop some units here. Solar wants to take a real fight. He says, fight me like a man. Put down the Biles and fight me like a man. And Dark's gonna win this fight. He is gonna win this game. He is not going down without a fight. It looks like Dark is gonna put a point on the board and take us to a game 4. There are some drones going down on the other side of the map, but I can tell you it is not comparable to what Dark is doing here, which is killing all the army supply of Solar. GG gets called. There it is. Happy to see a win there for Dark. We don't like the clean sweeps. I want at least a 3-1. Could we get a reverse sweep, though? That's the real question. That's what we really want to know. Could be the start of it. What's up, Stone Coat? Good to see you again. As a reminder, guys, this tournament is completely funded by the Patreon. We do have a matcherino every week to add a little bit extra to the prize pool with the free codes. And this week we had somebody put in $50 to bump that prize pool up. But make sure to check those codes out in the matcherino. And support us on Patreon if you'd like to keep supporting Korean StarCraft. We had somebody, I thought somebody joined the Patreon, but they actually just bumped up their pledge, supporting even stronger. And they have Leet in their name. I mean, can you get any more Leet than that? That's like top tier. Top tier. All right. We're getting into Gressvan, map 4. Damn, somebody put a lot of points on Solar in the channel point bet. Hopefully not regretting that. Start of the reverse sweep could be here. Still looking good, though. Still looking good. Because this guy in the upper left-hand corner of Gressvan is still on match point. Up 2-1 is Onside Gaming's Solar. And his opponent in the lower right-hand corner for Dragon Kitesy Gaming, it's Dark. Still no 12 pulls. Man. I thought for sure we'd see one this series. Maybe if there's a game 5. Honestly, 12 pull in game 5 is... that's big rooster energy right there. I'm glad Dark finally got a point on the board. It's his first win against Solar in the finals of a KSL. It just absolutely demolished my pinky on the table. Wow. Just filling you guys in on the pain in my life. Generally try to avoid that, but you know, occasionally you just gotta punch a table. Remind that table who's boss. It's the table. The table is who's boss. Oh, no, I just kicked it. The table is still boss. Ow. Man, I gotta stop. Hot tip for you guys: don't punch and kick the table. I was just testing. I was testing if this theory was true, but when you hit tables with hands and feet, it hurts. I had a hypothesis. I tested it, and I confirmed that the hypothesis is true. We're doing important science here. No cheeky builds this time. Third base is getting taken. Both players taking the triangle third on this one. Some potential for some aggression, perhaps, as these Lings try their hardest to do damage. Man, this is like occasionally the mirror matchup is truly a mirror matchup, and this is one of those. This is one of those times. Production tab was just fully lined up for a second. Solar getting that nice early Evo again. I think we might see a quick +1 missile attacks from him. Dark not getting the Evo. It's interesting how the build orders are slightly different. There was, for a while, like a race to see who could get the earlier +1 missile attacks. And, I mean, like we're seeing here with Solar, we started seeing players get +1 missile attacks before they even started a Roach Warren. And that's, again, that's what Solar's doing here. He's still playing that game. Dark, though, is building the Roach Warren in the back of his base. No Evo chamber. So he's going to be very far behind in +1, but he might have an opportunity to try to do something cheeky here with some Roaches. Kind of the give and take. That's the trade of getting that Roach Warren early. Solar's got his own Roach Warren on the way now. Can't wait too long before putting that down. So if Dark does decide to try to push across, Solar should have a response. Oh, Lair starts up for Dark. He does have that Evo chamber finishing up, so he's going to get +1. He's just going to be behind in the upgrades for a bit. See if he can't get something done in the meantime. I don't think he can. Dark trying to push across. I mean, it's hard to attack with non-speed Roaches. Generally ill-advised. That +1 is so far behind, too. It's going to be a big opportunity here, I think, for Solar to just build a bunch of Roaches and take a good fight. Of course, Solar doesn't know that, so that's kind of to Dark's benefit, right? Solar doesn't know. It's why we see crisp timings. If we're going to see an attack with the upgrade, you usually want to hit as it finishes. You have your best chance of having an upgrade lead then. But, I mean, if Solar goes kind of at any point, he'll be in a good spot. This is starting to remind me a lot of Game 2. Which does not bode well for Dark, because Game 2 was a game win for Solar. And, I mean, it's feeling very similar. His +1's done quite a bit earlier. He's got the Spire on the way. He starts up +2. +1 only just over halfway done for Dark. I mean, this is all very good for Solar. He is down quite a bit of army supply, though, and I think that's a problem for him. But if Dark doesn't actively go use this army supply, then it's not really going to make a difference. Dark putting down a Hydrogen. Did he spot the Spire, or is he just expecting there to be a Spire again? He's like, you don't have enough Roaches. I think it's another Spire. It's very interesting. Ooh, Overseer. I think it just spotted that Hydrogen. Try to select the units and look at their vision. Yep, spotted the Hydrogen. That's really important for Solar. I mean, he can decide if he wants to make mutas. It looks like he is going to make a few, but he probably won't start +1 and go heavy on the mutas since he's against the Hydras. Just going to try to get a handful out and do some damage. Dark's still with a pretty significant army supply lead, though. As I say that, it gets quite a bit closer, but... Worker count pretty much dead even. I mean, this game is even in a lot of ways. That +2 still quite a bit further behind for Dark. But, again, unless Solar hits at a crisp timing or they take a fight sometime in between there, Solar might not really be able to take advantage of it since +3 is pretty far away for both players. So all that bemoaning the earlier +1 Solar had ends up not really meaning much. And 5 mutas, not the scariest number of mutas. They should be able to get a drone kill or 2 here, but oh, Queen's gonna get a kill. Now it's just 4 mutas. These mutas are really doing nothing. 38 banelings getting made for Solar. What the hell? Okay, Solar's playing this kind of game. He's gonna force a bunch of Hydras, and then he's gonna try to run banelings into them. All right. Solar is about to go all in. Now, the army supplies are not really going to represent the armies here, since banelings are so much less supply than roaches. The banelings starting to smash forward and splash damage these roaches, but is it enough for Solar? I don't really think so. He can't push up here. Even though he hit at that timing and his +2 is done, Dark's is not. This is very, very nice for Solar, but man, those banelings just smashing the front lines of roaches. That's wild. Explosions going off everywhere. Solar, though, still can't quite push in. He has taken the army supply lead, though, as he's going back into roaches. Looks like a few drones went down for Dark as well. I don't know if he was building buildings or if a couple died. But he's getting into lurkers. He said, all right, I'm going to use these Hydras then. He's going to try to jump on this army right before +2 finishes up. But it is done now, so the upgrades are equalized. The lurkers are here. They're going to burrow, but the bile's going to go off immediately. Nicely placed, but not enough to actually get the kills. Dark does hold on for now. Solar just going to continue building roaches. It's 4 base to 4 base, but Dark is on lurkers. And as more lurkers come out, it's going to be harder and harder for Solar to crack this on Roach Ravager. Especially when he's only got like 4 Ravagers. Should be able to drop a couple biles down on the lurkers if he wants. Solar backing up. Poking and prodding, trying to find a weakness here, but these lurkers are going to do so much damage in the meantime. He will finally take one down as the Overseer shows up, but he's eating so much damage, and as more roaches show up to help out here, it looks like Dark is holding the counter too, or the backstab, and he's pushing away the main army. Dark just, I mean, beautifully holds Solar's aggression. Now Solar is completely on the back foot. Muta's desperately trying to get some kills. It's 2 Mutas though. It's probably the least scary thing in the world. This is like when a child is like pulling your hair or something. You're like, it doesn't hurt. It's really not a problem. I think Dark's just gonna have too much here. This is looking like a game 5, all right. Solar trying to get aggressive, but he's forced to tap out. Dark holds, bit of a role reversal there, as Solar was being very aggressive. And I feel like Solar generally a much stronger defensive Zerg, and Dark showing the same defensive prowess. That's kind of the beauty of Dark, though. While he can be a very aggressive player, he's also just so solid back at home. And once the higher tech units come out, he's so good at organizing them and microing them. All right, game 5. The reverse sweep is on its way. Solar is a G. Yes, Tater Tutor, I'm going to have to agree. Does not have a G in his name, though. Neither does Dark. No G's around. Except for the ones at the end of the game. All right, Ancient Cistern, going to be map 5. The G is in his soul? What, did he give his G to to the Polish Terran player, Sol. I didn't realize that. I didn't know. I had no idea. Spawning in the lower left-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, our 5th and final map. It is our red Zerg player for Dragon Kitesy Gaming, Dark. Hey, Dragon. It's got a G in it. Kitesy Gaming. That's another G. Spawn in the upper right-hand corner in the blue for Onside. It's Solar. No G's there. G's. The only G's from Solar were at the end of the last 2 games. I'm always happy to see chat appreciating my humor. Still no 12 pools. 5-game series of ZVZ. No 12 pools. What have we become? It's just so sad. I miss the early pools. Yeah, it is funny. The first couple of games, I think Dark was trying to do some cheeky moves, some quick ling speed, stuff like that, put some aggression on, and really backfired on him. Solar's defense is so good, and the counterattacks were so solid. But in these longer macro games, it feels like Solar gets a little restless, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta do something. I can't just not do something for this long." I feel like Solar's usually a very patient player, but those last couple of games, not quite as patient. Really wants to get something done. Nothing super aggressive just yet. Quick third base, though. He got a fast third base. I guess it's not. Dark's going to take his third base at the same time. I think what it is I'm getting tired. I'm starting to lose the sense of time. What time is it? It's game time. Trick question. Game time. Correct answer, game time. Sadly, game time retired. He's a fun streamer back in the day. I feel like it's been a long time. When did game time stop streaming? Like 4 years ago. Sometimes I think about how long I've been doing this, how long I've been hanging out in this community. And compared to some people, it's not very long at all. But man, thinking about the fact that I've been casting now for over 5 years kind of blows my mind. Oh, StarCraft's a good game. It's a good game. Casting for 5 years, still not tired of it. Not in the least. Not even ZVZ. Even after 2018 and 2019. And again, we've got the earlier Evo Chamber here from Solar. Dark going for the earlier Roach Warren. Slightly later upgrade. Gonna be a little closer than last game, I think. But it didn't really come into play too much last game. There was only like one engagement where Solar had the upgrade lead, and it was such a bad engagement for Solar that it didn't end up mattering anyways. So Dark might be onto something here. He's building 10 roaches. I feel like every game so far, though, that this has happened, Dark builds a good handful of roaches and then has kind of chilled with them. But in this game, it looks like he's going straight across the map. He wants to take advantage of the fact that Solar's Roach Warren is late. He's got 20 lings behind this. No upgrades started up. He does have drones coming out now, though. So he's going to hard switch to drones off the back of this. He wants to force a ton of units out of Solar and maybe see if he can't get some damage done here. Looks like some drones might go down. Roaches are coming out. Baneling goes off on just about nothing here. Roach gets caught against the hatchery. Other units trying to come and save it, but not quite in time. Couple drones going down, and remember, Dark is droning up behind this. He's at a decent drone count, so he can just pull back, getting a little bit of damage done. Looks like that will be what happens here. It's not too bad for Solar, though. He is droning behind this a little bit, but yeah, Dark definitely taking a lead with that. Only killing a couple workers, but it was really the pressure that gave him that lead. Solar up a lot of army supply, though, and he's got that +1 about to finish. And I think if Solar goes heavy roaches and pushes, as it looks like he's going to do, he's got 3 overlords on the way. Got more roaches coming out. I almost said 4 overlords, even though I saw the 3. Is that bad? Is it bad that I can't read and speak the things? Might be. But I think Solar's going to go for a counter push here. And with that +1 done, if he hits before Dark's +1, that could be pretty huge. But Dark is up workers, which means he's going to be able to catch up in that supply fairly quickly. And he's teching up behind this. He's got the lair finished up. Solar does not have a lair in sight, which means no roach speed. And we've seen so far, when Solar gets aggressive, Dark has been able to hold. And that has not boded well for Solar. Dark, I think, does much better in those scrappy games when things get a little weird and a little wild. And he's got the Great Concave ready to go. He's got a Spine Crawler on the way up. He's got a lot of units, but the Lings are here. They need to avoid the Banes. Can the Roaches target down the Lings? They're trying to get in on top of these Roaches. Banelings come in. They get some really big connections, actually, killing a lot of those Lings. Vials on top of the Spine Crawler will take it out, force the cancel. Does Solar have enough to push through? He's killing drones, so he could pull back off of this. 28 more Lings on the way. He's going for the full Ling follow-up. He starts up +1 Carapace behind it and the lair. Drone count is now dead even, but Solar droning heavy behind this, so Dark needs to get on it too. Dark also dropping down the Spire. Also try to take advantage of the lack of tech here from Solar. It's a nice kill. Both players, though, very heavy on the supply cap. Roach is trying to find a way in. Ling's trying to find a way in. Both getting pushed away here. Roach speed starts up for Dark. And once Roach speed is done, Solar going to have a much more difficult time retreating with these Roaches. Solar pulls back. Drone count ends up dead even. +2's on the way for Dark, but the Carapace is coming up for Solar. Generally, I think +2 attack is better for Roach versus Roach, but considering Solar also has a bunch of Lings out, I feel like the Carapace is actually really nice here. But I don't think he has any idea the Spire is on the way. I don't think he's going to expect the Spire. He's going to go scout right now, though. Where is that Spire? There it is, straight up in the back of the middle line. And he is going to be able to see that, but it's right as it pops, which means mutas are already going to be in production as this Overseer spots the Spire. Ooh, Lings don't get in, but they do get the kill on that drone that was trying to build a fort. Very nice Ling movement there out of Solar. I would say Solar's behind right now. His Hydrogen is, I think, later than he'd like it to be because of that later scout. Does have some Spore Crawlers coming up, but doesn't really have much that shoots up right now. I like this Spore just chilling in the middle here, too. Kind of nice. Helps support the Roaches. Lings again trying to get in. These run-bys from Solar are just getting thwarted over and over again. Killing that drone and delaying the 4th base was so far the best he could do. But Solar can't really take a 4th base right now either. Thanks in large part to these mutas that are out on the map. Until Hydras come out and are able to bully the mutas away. Looks like he's going to go for it now. The mutas are on the other side. I think it's just 4 mutas at this point. Oh, there's 6. I don't know where the other ones are. There they are. We found them. There's 5 of the 6. There's a sixth one out here somewhere, I believe. All right, both players nearing maxed out. Dark has hit it. Solar does have +2 missile attacks. Almost done. And if he gets up to 2-1, that upgrade lead is going to be fairly significant. Lurker Den going down as well. I mean, you've got the Hydras already. Might as well get into Lurkers. Looks like Dark might try to hit before that. This kind of feels like a role reversal of some of what we've seen so far this series. With Dark going for the mutas and sticking on just the Roaches and Ravagers. Ooh, Solar might be able to catch this army. Dark trying to push through, but he is pushing through a bit of a choke. Ends up in a bit of a concave versus convex scenario here, as Solar's got units on both sides. That +2 attack not quite done yet, though, so I think that's pretty solid for Dark. But I don't think he wants to really stick around here. There's Hydras in this army as well, and those Hydras do quite a bit of DPS. 4 drones going down in the meantime, as some Lings sneak into the main base. Ooh, they're getting on top of this road reinforcement as well, but the Muta's going after this base. There is, I think, a Spore Crawler here. It looks like more Mutas might have been made. A couple drones going down on both sides. No, it's literally still just the same 5 from earlier. All right. Yeah, Muta's starting to go down. This Roach army pushed back. This one, at least for now, pushed back. The Lurker Den is done. The worker count is pretty much identical. +2 missile attacks giving Solar an advantage here, but the +1 Carapace is almost done for Dark. And then they'll be on exactly equal upgrades. Hive starts up for Solar. He is trying to get into those Lurker upgrades. Still very far away from having any of them, but if he gets a couple of Lurkers out, I mean, we saw this last game, but it was Dark who had the Lurkers. It's so hard to fight against Lurkers when you yourself do not have that Lurker tech, the Hive tech, the Vipers to Blinding Cloud, etc. You can bile units down, but even going in range like that, you're going to eat so much damage, it's almost not worth it. And as those Lurkers start burrowing, the biles will push the units away from protecting them, but yeah, Bile's not getting the damage done, not getting the kills. It is really nice here, though, to kill the Overlords that were just tagging the army, or at least push them away. One of the Lurkers goes down. It looks like there's some Roaches on the left side, but there's a handful of units here for Solar as well. Solar so far defending beautifully, but the supplies are just dead even. Hive is almost done. That Hive could be huge for Solar. Honestly, the range increase alone is just kind of insane against this kind of Roach Ravager pressure. Having that 2 extra range is huge, and that's what he's going to start with. +2 Carapace coming up here for Dark. It's not going to be done for a bit. That could be a huge help in these fights, being up an upgrade. Roaches and Ravagers rotate around for Dark. Solar needs to get his units here as well. He's got a couple of Lurkers on the ground, but they do get Bile down. So these Biles are excellent. Dark is still forced to pull back, but I think he's quite happy with that trade. He ends up about 30 supply ahead of his opponent. And while the Lurkers, you know, they can do wonders, they are not the end-all be-all. Dark once again rotates around. He's going to drop those Biles immediately, force the reposition. He's got so many Biles. I feel like Solar needs to do something about this many Ravagers being out. But what can he do? He's starting to lose drones. He's starting to lose economy. Oof, losing some of those eggs to the Biles. However, the seismic spines are done. These Lurkers will now have 10 range against the Roaches and Ravagers. That's going to be very powerful. One Lurker tries to get away from the Biles there, but dies anyways. Dark's own Lurker Den is about to pop. He's also got Vipers on the way, and we know Dark's late game Viper control is some of the best in the world. This is game 5. There's no giving up here. You give up, that's it. You lose the series. Dark is really trying to find a way in, just poking and prodding. So far, he's traded better, but not by a ton, just by a little bit. I'm surprised, though, with all this map presence and all this pressure coming out. Oh, no, the Biles. Solar getting a bunch of units trapped here as they path the wrong way. He gets caught at the bottom of the ramp, and Dark gets a fantastic victory there, killing so much stuff. Those trades skyrocketing in Dark's favor. That was like 2,000 resources killed for free right there. That is absolutely brutal. What I was going to say is I'm surprised Dark hasn't taken a 5th behind this. I feel like that's a little bit dangerous, not trying to get more economically ahead than your opponent. But he is getting his own lurker upgrades. He's getting into his own lurkers. And I think Dark's very confident here. The Blinding Cloud is so good. Oh, and then he just abducts a few units. Any value he can get here is huge. Obviously, though, he wants to go for those lurkers. He wants to get the big, powerful, high-tech, high-expense units out of Solar's army, pull them into him, and kill them immediately. Solar, though, has quite a few lurkers, and he's starting to dive forward. He has that adaptive talent, so they burrow super quickly as well. Even the repositions are good here, unless the units get all choked up in a choke. Solar, I think he's completely going for it. All in here. He just wants to push. He's got the lurkers done. I think there are some defensive lurkers for Dark. I think the Vipers are an even bigger story here. Biles just trying to buy time. Yeah, and there's those abducts. 1, 2, 3 kills, a Blinding Cloud as well, and GG gets called. Solar can't compete with those Vipers. He doesn't have his own. And Dark gets the full reverse sweep. Started 0-2, pulls it back with the 3-2 victory. Spellcaster's coming out at the end to clinch it there, as we know he is the best Zerg in the world when it comes to those late game, high-tech spellcasting units. And Solar, despite, I don't know, solid start to the series, not able to hold on to it. Dark gets another KSL victory, and Solar loses his first finals in a KSL.